Hi everyone. So for week 11, you have a group discussion assigned, but I'm noticing we're really struggling with format and how to use citations properly. This is a 2000 level course, meaning it's a sophomore level course. You should know how to write. It should just be a given that you know you're supposed to use citations anytime you write, even short essays, even these 300 to 500 short essays for your history class. The expectation is you cite and you cite correctly. And what I noticed is a lot of you did not watch the video. A handful of you did about how to do group discussions, but a lot of you didn't. So this exercise that we're going to do for our group discussion, it's an activity this time around. We're going to work on formatting, and we're going to use MLA formatting. Traditionally in history, you would use Turabian or Chicago style, but I don't think I have any history majors, so I'm not going to do that to you. Instead, I'm going to use one that you're going to use a lot in most of your classes. Unless you're like a psych major, you would use APA. But we're going to use MLA format and teach you how to briefly teach you how to do that. A great resource is Purdue, probably heard of them before, and their online writing lab. The Purdue OWL is what we use a lot. And so if you just type in Purdue OWL, you can go, and it's all different types of format. They show you how to do APA, MLA, Turabian is included. But what we're going to look at is their MLA. So this walks you through, it's a really great resource, even as you move beyond PJC in your writing and you don't buy the actual book, always refer to this website. It's so great, but it tells you kind of general format of MLA. Gives you the general format. If you're writing an entire paper, shows you the general guidelines. You're supposed to use 8.5 by 11-inch paper, double space, Times New Roman, font size should be 12. So these, anytime you write a paper in MLA format, this is what you're going to use every single time. It's always going to be double spaced. You're always going to use 12-point font. You always have 1-inch margins. You always have indented paragraphs. You always use in-text citations. You have a certain first page that it looks like, and this gives you the samples of what that is supposed to look like. What they also do is tell you how to cite things. MLA in-text citations, the basics. So a lot of times the feedback I'm giving you and say, you're missing your in-text citations. Be sure to include in-text citations. And a lot of you still are not doing that, even after the second one. So we're going to click here on in-text citations. We're going to look at the basics together. Let me just hit got it down here so it'll leave us alone. Okay. So MLA style, when you are referring, when you summarize a textbook or you summarize from a website, you're using information that you got from somewhere else, you always refer to that work by using a parenthetical citation. It means you put parentheses at the end of the sentence. And it shows you how to do that. So look, we're going to look at the author page style. And this is what I would want you to use in our class, using our textbook and the author's names. We have a whole list of names, and we're going to look at those in just a minute. But this is a parenthetical citation. They've stated that romantic poetry was marked by, and they put in quotes, spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Well, Wordsworth said that, and he said that on page 263 of the book that they are referencing. Another way of stating that is romantic poetry is characterized by quotes. This is a direct quote from that book that's found on page 263. Or you can summarize it. You don't have to do direct quotes. You could say Wordsworth extensively explored the role of emotion in the creative process. They're just basically stating spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, but kind of putting in their own words here. So both of the citations in the examples above, the 263 and then listing the author and the page number, tells the reader that the information in these two sentences, it can be found on page 263 of the book that was written by Wordsworth, right? If readers want more information, they can scroll all the way down to the very, very bottom of the essay or the very end of the paper that is written, and they're like, oh, that's on page 263 of Lyrical Ballads by William Wordsworth. And that book, maybe there's a reprint, but the one that they were using is from 1967. So if I want to find that and read more about this, or just check to see if that's really where they got it from. I know what book to look for. I know who published it, and I even know the year of the publication. So when you're writing, I would expect you to use in-text citations that look somewhat like these. I'm going to show you some examples of those. A few weeks ago, I asked you guys to pick one of India's religions and talk about it. So here's the ebook. This was found in chapter 3. The third section of that chapter talks about India's great religions. And let's just say I wanted to choose and write about Hinduism. I'm waiting for it to load. So it lists all the religions up here, right? Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism. This is on page 69, but it doesn't talk about Hinduism. That's the one that I would like to write about. So I'm going to go forward in the book. I'm going to click next and keep looking for it. Or if you have the print version, you can just turn the page, right? So there's Jainism. This one is about Buddhism. So here's Hinduism, and let's say that I want to kind of want to summarize this chapter. I don't have to directly copy and paste. I can put this in my own words. Although it's in my own words, I still need to cite this at the end of the paragraph or the sentence that I'm summarizing this, right? The same down here. If I want to maybe take a direct quote, Hinduism is a guide to life, I could copy and paste that, put that in quotes, and then tell the reader, I found this in Wisner, Hanks et al. On page 76. That's what you guys are forgetting to do as you're going through and writing your essays. So I'm going to show you an example of an essay that I wrote about Hinduism. So if you will look, I made a mistake right here. I'm going to fix that really quickly. If you'll look, all I did was kind of summarize this first paragraph that talks about Hinduism, right, and how it evolved. And I just wrote 2 sentences. This is a direct summary. I didn't directly quote. So I didn't like copy and paste over, but because I did summarize this, I need to put where this information came from. I just didn't know this off the top of my head. Like, you know that Christmas Day is December 25th. Like, we all know that that's common knowledge. This stuff about Hinduism, for us, this is not common knowledge. So I need to cite where this information came from. Well, it came from our textbook. It came from Wisner, Hanks et al., and you can find it on page 76. Just letting the reader know. Notice where the period is. The period is at the end of the parentheses, not before it. You don't have 2, right? Both of these sentences came from this one page in the book. I've now successfully, correctly cited where that information came from. What about this et al.? What does that mean? Well, your textbook... Great, let me count really quickly. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 6 authors that wrote the textbook that you're reading from. So when you have 3 or more authors, instead of listing them all out one by one individually, because that's a really long citation, you put this Latin term et al., meaning and others. You always put a period after the AL because it's an abbreviation of the word. So Wisner, Hanks, and all the other authors, right? That's what that means. When we get down to the bottom and we do our full source citation, we still only list Wisner, Hanks, comma, Mary, comma, et al. We don't have to list out the other 5 authors. All right, so that's how you do a proper in-text citation. Now let's say I wanted to just straight up copy and paste. You can do that. You can say even more important. I can copy and paste this. See if it'll let me. If I do that, then I need to put it in direct quotes. Move that period to the end. Put in my quotes. This is also on page 76. There we go. So that's when you direct quote. Right? So summary or direct, they look the same, don't they? So for your exercise, what we're also going to look at is how to do in-text citations, yes, but also what other components do we need when citing books. Books only, we're not doing websites for this exercise. Okay, so here's all the information for our book. It's listed right here. Here are all the authors' names. You've got Mary Wisner Hanks, Patricia Embry, Roger Beck, Jerry Davila. So, right, keep going, keep going. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this in the correct format for a works cited citation. You always do the author's last name, comma, first name. So we know Wisner Hanks is her last name, comma, Mary E. period, comma. Now what we need to do is we don't list the other 5 authors. There's too many. Remember, if it's 3 or more, you list it as et al, meaning and others. And now we can do our book, the title of our book. So now we're going to take the title of our book and we're going to put it in italics. I'm going to put a period after it. We're using an edition of the book. This is the 12th edition or the 12th reprint of the book. So we're going to include that too, 12th, and then just ed, period. Then what we're going to list is who published it and the year that they published it. All right, so it's published by Bedford St. Martin's. And you can just do St. Martin's if you want to. And it was published, comma, put a comma after that. It was published in the year 2021. Now I need to go back and I just want to make sure that I didn't leave out any like commas or periods anywhere. And I did. I missed a comma right here after the 12th edition. It should be comma, Bedford St. Martin's, comma, 2021, period. That ends it. So that's what your works cited would look like at the bottom of your essay, right? There's going to be a couple of exercises that you're going to do with using different books and using it this way. So if you do have any questions about like, what exactly, like what about a translation? What does a translation look like? Go back over here, go to the Purdue OWL, pull it up, if it will let me pull it up. Look over, like use this, like I said, translated book. So look, has the author, title of the book, translated by, so this is the person that translated it, the publisher, and the year. It's a really big hint. You're going to see one of those. So this is the easiest and the best website to use. Just go to, type in Google Purdue OWL, and this will come up, and go to the MLA style guide. This thing's amazing. It's such a lifesaver. See all these other styles that they have, but you want to use MLA. Okay, this is going to help you with your exercise. The group discussion activity, it's 10 questions, short answers. Some of them are multiple choice. So some of them you do have to, I give you all the information, you've got to put it in the right order, that kind of thing. There's also multiple choice, like what's missing from this citation, you've got to tell me, is it the title missing, that kind of thing. So hopefully this is going to help you moving forward, and this will help on the very last little writing assignment that we have in this course. Good luck. Email me if you have any questions about how to complete this.